Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Al 24 World News Program coming to you live from Algiers, and these are your headlines. Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune arrived in Rome as part of a 3-day state visit to Italy at the invitation of the Italian President Sergio Mattarella. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi and 20-strong delegation arrived in Solomon Island Thursday at the start of an 8-nation tour. In Texas, the country sparked into rage against the genocide and calling for the government to take concrete action against armed laws and gun lobbies. After clashes with police outside Parliament on Thursday, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan halted a protest march by supporters. Hello again, I'm Abdurrahim Kashu, and those were today's top stories. On the Wednesday, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune arrived in Rome as part of the 3-day state visit to Italy at the invitation of the Italian President Sergio Mattarella. President Tebboune was received at Rome International Airport by Leonardo da Vinci, Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Luigi Di Maio, Algeria's ambassador to Italy, and members of the Arab and African Diplomatic Corps accredited in Rome. A statement by the Presidency of the Republic stated that this visit is of a particular importance in strengthening the bonds of historical friendship and consolidating bilateral relations in many fields, especially the economic aspect, within a new vision of the two presidents aimed at reviving a new dynamic of dialogue and strategic cooperation between the two countries. On the first stop of his visit to Italy, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune met with the members of the national community residing in Italy to listen to their concerns and suggestions. The president emphasized the importance of communities' participation in economic and development path that the country is witnessing. He added that the relations between Algeria and Italy are solid and among the strongest Arab-European relations in the Mediterranean region.
We're drawing our strength today from all that we have suffered. No one will be able to show Algerians how to live. We have gone through all the tribulations. Algeria brought forth your generation and the generation before you, who knew the true meaning of the word homeland.
In the same line of thoughts, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune received today, Thursday, an official reception by his Italian counterpart, Sergio Mattarella. At the outset of the meeting in a joint press conference, the Italian President renewed support for partnership and economic cooperation between the two countries, and the Algerian President praised the strength and the clarity of historical relations between Algeria and Rome, and announced Algeria's commitment to creating solid prospects for cooperation in vital areas. To a different matter now, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi and 20-strong delegation arrived in Solomon Islands Thursday at the start of an 8-nation tour. Wang and the Chinese delegation are visiting amid growing concerns of a Beijing military financial ambitions in the South Pacific. China signed a security pact with the Solomon Islands last month in a move that sent shock waves around the world. That pact has raised fears that China could send troops to the island nation or even establish a military base there, not far from Australia. The Australian Foreign Affairs Minister Penny Wong took the opportunity during her visit to the Republic of Fiji to lay out the advantages of Canberra as a strategic partner in the Pacific, even as China embarks on diplomatic efforts in the region.
Australia will be a partner that doesn't come with strings attached, nor imposing unsustainable financial burdens. We're a partner that won't erode Pacific priorities or Pacific institutions. We believe in transparency. We believe in true partnerships. We will respect Pacific priorities and your institutions. We will support growth and development that is sustainable. Pacific Island nations will make their choices about what agreements, what partnerships they engage in.
Following the mass shooting of children at Robe Elementary School in Texas, the country sparked into rage against the genocide and calling for the government to take concrete actions against arms laws and gun lobbies in the United States. Islam Seed has more to tell.
In the aftermath of the terrible massacre of 21 people where children were the main victims in the Texan city, waves of anger and grief erupted in the U.S. over the gun laws and arms acquisitions, which caused many deaths more than anything in the country. However, the question is, could this tragedy be stopped?
I actually had trouble sleeping. You know, I have 3 kids. I thought about them going to school and never coming back. I thought about how this tends to happen only in the United States.
I'm absolutely devastated by what happened. My husband's from Spain, and you never ever have to worry about something like that when you're in another country. It's only here, and I'm not sure why this is still happening and why it's still a problem, and I think that we need to figure this out soon because those children do not deserve what happened to them.
You know, thoughts and prayers will continue to come, and we will never see any real change. It seems like no matter how hard this country demands it, the country's leaders don't have any intention of keeping us safe.
The press conference of Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott on Wednesday was erupted by his opponent Beto O'Rourke, who accused him of having his share of responsibility in the tragedy.
Because these kids died because the governor of the state of Texas, the most powerful man in the state, chose to do nothing. He went to Santa Fe High School after kids were killed in their classrooms, told the parents he would do something. He did nothing.
President Joe Biden announced on Wednesday that he would travel to this state with his wife in the next few days.
Jill and I will be traveling to Texas in the coming days to meet with the families and let them know we have a sense, just a sense of their pain, and hopefully bring some little comfort to the community in shock, in grief, and in trauma.
In this predominantly Hispanic community, the Robb Elementary School District is a home to a modest middle class of Americans living in a small, single-story wooden houses. The debate on the regulation of firearms in the United States is practically empty, given the lack of hope that Congress will pass an ambitious national law on this issue.
To Russia-Ukraine fire, Russian forces have launched a campaign to encircle Severodonetsk, the easternmost point of the Donbas still under Ukrainian control, along with its sister city, Lysychansk, just to the south. Russian troops were reported to have seized portions of Liman, a town roughly 30 miles west of Severodonetsk, and hit into the village of Zolot, south of Lysychansk. Those attacks and a Russian attempt from north of Severodonetsk from an offensive to take the city. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry has said that Russian forces are conducting an intense offensive in order to seize the key town of Liman in the Donetsk region. Ministry spokesperson stated that Russian efforts to completely take control of Liman did not succeed. However, images posted on social media Wednesday showed Russian soldiers at the identifiable locations in northern neighborhoods of the town, which Ukrainian forces have defended in the face of an intense assault since the late of April, raising Russian flags on the roof. Russian military operation on Ukraine's eastern front, according to Ukraine's Foreign Ministry Dmytro Kuleba, is the biggest seen in Europe since World War II. He termed Russian strikes in the Donbass ruthless and urged Western partners to expedite an essential arms supply on Tuesday. Fears of a global food crisis is swelling as Russia is imposing blockage on Ukraine's ability to produce and export grain, which have dismayed off one of the war's breadbasket, fueling charges that President Vladimir Putin is using food as a new weapon in this 3-month-old military operation. Usamayati.
Ukrainian seaports remain blocked by Russian Black Sea Fleet, crippling the country's export of essential goods including grain and oils. At least 70 vessels, up to 95% of them being international ones, are blocked at Ukrainian ports on the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov.
You can see that navigation is intense in the western part with only a few vessels displayed. Obviously, that is an area of combat activity where there is a real threat of mines as well as airstrikes.
The impact is being felt by traders in the country, with Ukraine losing millions of dollars due to export issues, while the failure to deliver essential goods, primarily grains, by sea has put world food security at risk.
All boat traffic was completely halted, fishermen boats included.
Hundreds of ships have also lost the chance to set sail in Crimea, with boats not able to leave. Fishing businesses on the peninsula have been suffering. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Tuesday accused Russia of deliberately bombarding grain warehouses across Ukraine, weaponizing food supplies.
Today, Russia's artillery is bombarding grain warehouses in Ukraine, deliberately. And Russian warships in the Black Sea are blockading Ukrainian ships full of wheat and sunflower seeds. The consequences of these shameful acts are there for everyone to see.
Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, von der Leyen said about 20 million tons of wheat remained stuck in Ukraine, while Black Sea ports are closed during the conflict. Before the war, Ukraine was one of the largest grain exporters in the world.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg stated at the World Economic Forum that freedom is more essential than free trade and urged countries to look beyond their economic interests in reaction to Russia's military operation in Ukraine. He also called Finland and Sweden's proposal to join NATO as historic, saying they demonstrate that European security will not be determined by violence and intimidation.
Finland and Sweden's decision to apply for NATO membership is historic. It demonstrates that European security will not be dictated by violence and intimidation. International trade has undoubtedly brought great prosperity. I and many of us here today, including Børge Brende, have worked hard to promote a more globalized economy. But we must recognize that our economic choices have consequences for our security. Freedom is more important than free trade.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz says Russian President Vladimir Putin will not be allowed to dictate peace during a speech at the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos, Switzerland. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz.
Darum unterstützen wir die Ukraine.
That's why we support Ukraine. This support is closely coordinated with our partners and allies. And we also agree that we are not doing anything to bring NATO into the war, because that would mean a direct confrontation between nuclear powers. It's about making Putin understand that he can't dictate peace. Ukraine won't accept it, and neither will we.
Das wird die Ukraine nicht akzeptieren und wir auch nicht.
The United Nations Refugee Agency said that for the first on the record, the number of people forced to flee conflicts, violence, human rights violations, and persecution has now crossed the milestone of 100 million. Disasters, including weather events such as cyclones and floods in Asia, as well as conflicts in places like Syria, Afghanistan, Ukraine, and Ethiopia, were factors behind high levels of new displacement. Jordan's King Abdullah ibn al-Hassan awarded Shireen Abu Aqla, a late Al Jazeera journalist, with a medal on Wednesday in honor of her bravery in carrying out her responsibilities, according to a statement from Royal Court, which Anatolia got a copy of. This occurred during his sponsorship of the national celebration of the kingdom's 76th independence anniversary in the courtyard of Husseiniya Palace in the capital, Amman. After clashes with police outside Parliament on Thursday, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan halted a protest marched by supporters, but promised to return unless an election was held within 6 days. Khan had gathered thousands of supporters in Islamabad with preparations to seize crucial areas of the capital until Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif agreed to new elections. But on Thursday morning, Khan instructed his supporters to back off while issuing a new ultimatum. The final results of the Lebanese parliamentary election have been announced, and the little Mediterranean country now finds itself in a serious quandary. Sufyan Kantouri.
The newcomers to Lebanon's parliament say they intend to build a single bloc to increase their power in parliament. But given the obstacle they face, this will be difficult. In the May 15 parliamentary election, 30 independent newcomers gained seats. Building on protest movement aimed at breaking the lengthy control of conventional groupings that arose from the Lebanese civil war a generation ago.
Today, Beirut has spoken very clearly and without games about its political stance. Our families said what they want. They will be the compass of the nation along with all the forces of change across the country, which are breaking down barriers.
The surprisingly strong performance by civil society groups gave hope to despondent Lebanese that change is possible in their sick country.
We have to be pushing toward political reforms. Maybe people won't be able to see this as a priority now, but it is integral in organizing the work, and so that we don't go back to the problems that we've had before. We can't follow a recovery plan while at the same time be subject to political instability because of the existing political system.
Many people are concerned that the new parliament would worsen the situation at a time when the country is experiencing one of the worst economic downturns in the history.
According to the interim government of Chad, deadly clashes have broken out between gold miners in North Chad. Local rebel groups unconfirmed reports of at least 200 fatalities in the area circulated on social media. The violence broke out at an informal gold mining site in the mountainous Kouri Bogodi district near the border with Libya, where the army has been fighting rebel groups for over a decade. 11 bodies died on Wednesday in a fire in a hospital in Tivaouane in western Senegal, a tragedy that highlights the serious shortcomings of the public health system in this poor country. Senegal's Minister of Health, a short circuit triggered the fire. Police and fire services were at the hospital, but no further details were provided.
I've known since last night about the fire, but I didn't tell my daughter. When she woke up, I told her and we came here.
We share the pain. The mothers suffered with the hope that their babies would live, but we have to accept the will of Allah. He gave them babies and took them back. The whole of Senegal is in mourning.
Senior civil servant Sue Gray released on Wednesday her completed report into Downing Street lockdown parties to the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. The final report is a 37-page plus photos covering 16 gatherings held between May 15, 2020 and April 16, 2021 during COVID-19 lockdown. The UK government has confirmed Prime Minister Boris Johnson will give a statement to the Commons later. Amid a severe baby formula shortage in the United States, a cargo plane carrying another shipment of the infant formula from Europe landed at Washington Dulles International Airport. Parents in the U.S. have been struggling to buy formula for their infants since the closure of a key manufacturing facility in Michigan due to bacterial contamination. Nabil Khazini.
You can be the most powerful global economy and yet unable to provide milk to feed hungry little mouths. The First Lady of the United States, Mrs. Jill Biden, was at the airport to welcome the second delivery of baby formula from Germany, following her husband's legislation that facilitates the transport of goods from abroad, in what represents an exceptional law usually reserved only for war times.
I'm here today to say to parents, you aren't alone. At the highest levels of Joe's administration, he and his team understand what you're going through, and they are finding solutions.
To this end, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a reminder for our main top stories. Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune arrived in Rome as part of the three-day state visit to Italy at the invitation of the Italian President Sergio Mattarella. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi and 20-strong delegation arrived in the Solomon Islands Thursday at the start of the 8-nation tour. In Texas, the country sparked into rage against the genocide and calling for the government to take concrete actions against arms laws and gun lobbies. After clashes with police outside Parliament on Thursday, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan halted a protest march by supporters. That's all we have got so far for now. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.